What if the greatest barrier to wealth isn't a lack of money, but a specific way of thinking, deeply ingrained, often invisible, and incredibly difficult to escape? We're not talking about laziness or a lack of effort. We're talking about the profound psychological forces that can trap individuals in a cycle of poverty even when opportunities exist. The foundational insight begins with the scarcity mindset, a concept meticulously explored by behavioral economists Sendil Mulinothan and Eldar Shafir. They revealed that scarcity, whether of money, time, or even food, doesn't just mean having less. It fundamentally changes how our minds work. It consumes our cognitive bandwidth, leaving less mental capacity for everything else. Imagine trying to solve a complex puzzle while constantly being interrupted by urgent life-altering decisions. That's the daily reality of the scarcity mindset. It forces an intense tunnel vision focus on immediate problems, paying this bill, buying that food, at the expense of long-term planning, education, or investment. This bandwidth tax makes strategic thinking a luxury. This leads directly to present bias, also known as hyperbolic discounting. When resources are scarce, the future feels uncertain and distant. The immediate gratification, the small relief today, becomes disproportionately more valuable than a larger delayed reward. Why save for retirement when you can't afford rent next week? This isn't irrationality. It's a survival mechanism gone awry in the modern financial landscape. The sheer volume of critical decisions faced by those in poverty leads to decision fatigue. Every choice, from what to eat to how to allocate meager funds, carries immense weight and consequence. This constant mental strain depletes willpower, making individuals more prone to impulsive, less optimal decisions later in the day, often leading to regret and further financial setbacks. Consider loss aversion. For someone with little, the fear of losing even a small amount is amplified. This can manifest in two seemingly contradictory ways. Either an extreme avoidance of any risk that might lead to further loss, thus preventing growth, or, paradoxically, a desperate gamble on high-risk, high-reward ventures like lotteries, driven by the hope of escaping the current pain. Repeated financial setbacks, often beyond an individual's control, can cultivate learned helplessness. If every effort to improve one's situation seems to be met with failure, or if the system feels rigged, people can internalize the belief that their actions don't matter. This erodes agency, leading to passivity and a reluctance to seize genuine opportunities when they arise. This often intertwines with an external locus of control. When individuals attribute their financial outcomes primarily to external forces, luck, the economy, powerful institutions, rather than their own efforts or choices, they feel less empowered to change their circumstances. While external factors are real, an exclusive focus on them disarms personal initiative. Then there's confirmation bias. Once a belief about one's financial fate is established, perhaps I'm just not good with money, or the rich always get richer, individuals tend to seek out, interpret, and remember information that confirms this existing belief, while dismissing evidence to the contrary. This creates a self-reinforcing echo chamber of financial despair. The phenomenon of mental accounting also plays a role. People often treat different pots of money differently based on their source or perceived purpose. A bonus or lottery win might be seen as found money and spent frivolously, while earned income is carefully budgeted. This artificial distinction prevents a holistic view of one's financial resources and opportunities. A critical blind spot is opportunity cost neglect. Every decision, especially in scarcity, carries an unseen cost. What you could have done with that money or time instead. The daily coffee, the high-interest loan for a fleeting pleasure. These small choices, when their cumulative opportunity cost is ignored, can silently erode future potential. For many, identity and self-worth become deeply tied to consumption. In an effort to maintain dignity, signal status, or simply feel normal, individuals might make purchases they cannot afford. This isn't about extravagance. It's often a psychological coping mechanism, a temporary balm for the pain of scarcity, leading to further debt and reinforcing the cycle. Social proof and peer influence are powerful. If one's immediate social circle is struggling, or if certain spending habits are normalized within that group, it becomes incredibly difficult to break away. The pressure to conform, to participate in shared experiences, even if financially detrimental, can outweigh rational long-term planning. The anchoring effect can set a low ceiling for aspirations. Early financial experiences, perhaps growing up in poverty or starting with a low-wage job, can anchor an individual's perception of what's possible. They might unconsciously limit their goals, believing a certain income level or lifestyle is simply not for them, even when pathways to greater wealth exist. Beyond basic budgeting, a lack of sophisticated financial literacy is a silent killer. Understanding compound interest, the true cost of debt, basic investment principles, and long-term financial planning are not intuitively obvious. Without this knowledge, even well-intentioned efforts to save or invest can be misguided or ineffective. Finally, the hedonic treadmill ensnares many. The temporary high from a new purchase, a fleeting experience, or a small indulgence quickly fades, leaving individuals chasing the next fix. This constant pursuit of external sources of happiness, rather than building intrinsic value or long-term assets, perpetuates a cycle of consumption and financial stagnation. The harsh reality is that these psychological forces are not isolated incidents. They form a complex, interconnected web. Stress impairs cognition. Impaired cognition leads to poor decisions, and poor decisions perpetuate scarcity. To escape, one must first acknowledge the profound power of these invisible chains. It's not enough to simply work harder or save more. The mind itself must be rewired, its biases understood, and its default settings recalibrated. This requires immense self-awareness, discipline, and often external support to break free from the gravitational pull of scarcity. The true wealth blueprint begins not with a stock portfolio, but with mastering your own psychology. It demands intentionality, consciously creating mental space, practicing delayed gratification, challenging your ingrained biases, and cultivating an internal locus of control. It's about seeing the future clearly, even when the present screams for attention, and understanding that true financial freedom is first and foremost a mindset. The psychology of poverty reveals a profound truth. Wealth isn't merely about having money, but about mastering the mind's intricate dance with scarcity bias and the relentless pull of the present moment. Subscribe to Wealth Psychology Guru to master the hidden laws of money.